Hey guys, Mr. Tide here again. And earlier today, I uploaded a YouTube video about me right here in the same spot, uh, telling uh, about that story thing, paranormal story. Well, I'm super bored, so here I am again, um, with another story. Now, this one isn't paranormal. Um, This one is about the time that I got lost in the woods when I was 5. So it was December 2010, um, and the year before my dad's friend died. So his wife like hosted this like cancer thing, like this cancer like fight against cancer fundraiser or whatever. Anyway, she does it every year, like every December. And when I was a little kid, we'd always go. Um, and it's usually held at like this golf course place. Um, yeah, anyway, December 2010, I was 5 years old. We were there, and yeah, uh, and back then I was a really curious kid. Um, and by curious, I mean like put it in like a Curious George type way. I like to like explore places, like um, yeah. And so I said, Mom, I want to take a walk. And she said, all right, we're going to take a short walk. So we went on a short walk in the golf course. And she said, oh, the thing's about to start. We got to go back. So we went back. But I needed like a longer walk. So I made the mistake of leaving without telling anyone. And I just left and all by myself. And I have to admit, for the first like few minutes, it was actually a good walk. Um, now I don't like really remember everything because I was only 5 at the time. So I vaguely remember it. But what I do remember is I was walking, and the sun was setting, and and there was this pond, and I said, "Oh, cool! I want to take a swim in that pond." And I could take a swim in that pond because there was no adult monitoring me. But then, um, I suddenly said, "Hey, wait, no, this is a stupid idea. I could drown." Um, so yeah, that's one thing I put to thought, which most 5 year olds wouldn't have, but I did. So yeah, uh, yeah, and then so I just continued walking, and I walked for miles and miles and miles, and it started to get dark, and eventually like there was nothing but the moonlight. So it was pretty much like Slenderman the 8 pages, except you're not trying to find 8 pages, you're just stuck in the woods, and you're 5 years old. You have no idea what you're doing. uh, yeah, so eventually I got to like this abandoned warehouse in the middle of the woods. Don't ask me what an abandoned warehouse is doing in the middle of the woods because I don't know. But anyway, so there's nothing. There's no other light except for the moon and an exit sign, which I could see through a window in the abandoned warehouse. And I was actually getting scared, but I told myself something very wise, which was follow the moon. And I did, and it led me to that abandoned warehouse. So yeah, and so it was like a dead end. Like, okay, I'm at this abandoned warehouse. What am I gonna do now? So I saw a bulldozer, and no one was in it. Okay, well, maybe yeah. The warehouse wasn't abandoned actually. Like people are just like doing construction on it. So one guy left like a bulldozer just sitting there. And I said, "Oh, cool! How cool would it be if I drove the bulldozer? Like, I want to drive a bulldozer. Who doesn't?" So I started to approach the bulldozer to get inside, and then suddenly, but it's dark over there, and the dark is something I've always been afraid of. Like, who's not afraid of the dark? Um, so yeah, and I decided to turn back because it was like dark over there, and I was as I was like, and I decided, okay, this is far enough. Let me walk back now. I'm gonna walk back and see my family. And before I can even like leave the general area of like the warehouse, um, I see this thing in the shadows, and it's approaching, and I like gasp a little, and I just stand there not knowing what to do, and the thing gets closer and closer, and it's an old woman in a wheelchair, and and she tells me that back at the golf course, people like my family and everyone else thought that I was like dead, and all hell broke loose over there. Like the police were like everywhere. Um, and so I said, all right. And then she said, all right, hop on my back. We're going back. So she gave me a piggyback ride on her wheelchair all the way back. And you'd think, like, how could she do that? Like, how could an old woman lead a 5-year-old on a wheelchair all the way back, miles and miles? But it was like one of those automatic wheelchairs. So yeah, that's how she did it. And yeah, and we rode back, and I was reunited with my family, and like my mom and my brother were like crying and stuff. And there's like this jerky old man saying, "I knew he'd turn up. I knew he was dead." Stuff like that to my mom. He was like being a real jerk to my mom and stuff. Um, but yeah, that was the time I got lost in the woods when I was 5. I hope you enjoyed my story, and yeah, if you didn't, then I'm sorry for wasting 7.5 minutes of your time.